9 months ago, I decided I wanted to figure out how I could work a full-time job and be able to create the content that I loved, videos just like this. It took me on this huge journey to learn about productivity and time management, and here are 5 of the biggest lessons that have helped me to become ridiculously more productive and have more time and be more creative. It's Anita. Welcome to my creative studio sessions. These are the videos where I jam on ideas to help us live more brave, meaningful, and creative lives. In my journey to figure out how to be more productive and use my time more wisely, I stumbled upon Laura VanderKam's books. I read one of her books and then ended up devouring the rest of her books because they're so helpful. She's written books with titles like What the Most Successful People Do at Work, A Short Guide to Making Over Your Career, What the Most Successful People Do Before Breakfast, A Short Guide to Making Over Your Mornings and Life, Off the Clock, Feel Less Busy While Getting More Done, 168 Hours, You Have More Time Than You Think, and All the Money in the World, What the Happiest People Know About Getting and Spending. Her books are filled with stories and research because she's actually studied people's time schedules and understood how not just successful people to use their time, but people from all kinds of backgrounds and life situations. Now, before I go any further, I want to take a moment and say that life is not just about being productive. In the modern Western culture, we're kind of obsessed with getting more done and being productive. And I think that's because we attach our value to our work and to the social recognition that comes from having a successful career. However, that is not just the purpose of life. There's a lot more to life than just being productive. But for this video and for my own life, being able to create things, to put creative productions out into the world, whether that's videos, writing, books, photography, art, I just love to make things and to put things out, and I know for you watching this video, this is one of your values as well. So even if you produce nothing this year, know that your life is still valuable. But if you've got an idea that you want to bring out into the world, this video will help you. So I'm going to share with you 5 of the big lessons that I've gleaned from all of Laura's books that have helped me to become more productive, more inspired, and have more time. I really appreciated Laura's books because they challenged me to think differently about my time and the resources available to me, including my finances, my energy, my health, and my skills. So let's dive into 5 of the biggest lessons that have made an impact on me, helping me to become ridiculously productive, get more done, and have more time. Big lesson number 1 is really a combo lesson. There are 2 parts of it. The first part is to change your focus from looking at 24 hours in a day to looking at 168 hours in a week. When you look at 168 hours, you can see you've got so much more time. And the second part of this is to treat your 168 hours as a blank slate. So this is a thing that turned me into a calendar ninja. Now, I'd obviously already figured out that I didn't have enough time for everything I wanted in 24 hours in a day. But I wanted to see what I could put into my calendar in 168 hours that was missing. I personally am really fascinated with where I'm wasting time and where I can be using time more productively. Now, productively doesn't mean just doing work. It also means having rest. So I ended up turning my Google Calendar into a complete rainbow. And I have an idea for you to help you get started on this as well. If you use Google Calendar, great. So scroll forward ahead into a couple months from now, a place where you don't quite know your schedule yet. Now imagine that this is a blank slate and I want you to block off time for your work, for your creative production if you have something that you create, for your hobbies, for your relationships, for eating, driving, exercising, for rest time, for everything in your life. This will give you an idea of what your life could actually look like if you got to choose every aspect of it. Now, when you flip back into the present, then you can see the discrepancy between what you'd like to have and what you want to have. So I've done this several times and it's helped me to rejig different parts of my calendar. Now, it might sound a little bit overwhelming to try to plan every single minute of your day, but I honestly find it exciting. It's like playing with a jigsaw puzzle, and the beautiful thing is, it's not just that I win a game, it's that when I've got the jigsaw puzzle fitting correctly, I'm able to do the things I love. I have time for friendships, for family, for rest, and most importantly, or one of the things that makes me the happiest is that I'm able to actually create things on top of having my job. So from a practical standpoint, chances are you're not able to completely rearrange your 168 hours as a blank slate. However, this activity is really going to help you see what it is that actually deserves to be there. Maybe you're spending your Friday nights doing chores when really you don't want to be doing them. And it's possible that you could do them at another time to really have the space for a social life or creative life. So for me, that practice of looking at my whole week, understanding that I am in charge of where time goes is really empowering. Big lesson number 2 is that not all hours are created equal. So in the morning, we tend to have more discipline and more willpower than at night. That also explains why it's easier for us to slip into snacking or eating unhealthy foods in the evening. So when this lesson really sunk in for me, the knowing that not all hours are created equal and some will work in my favor, some could work to my disadvantage, I became obsessed with figuring out how to put the best activities in the best time. So I am naturally a morning person, and this made me realize that I should use this to my advantage. So I started waking up earlier and just embracing the fact that I love that it's always quiet in the mornings. There's something that I just love about the feeling, knowing that I'm up before everyone else and that I'm able to watch the sunrise. Like, I love being able to see the sunrise from my car or from my window. So I decided to use that to my advantage by pushing the time that I wake up even earlier, and then using that time to exercise, to read, to do some creative stuff, or to do meditation or devotions. So if you're a night person, then choose to use that to your advantage. Maybe you can stay up later 1 or 2 nights a week and really get to work on the things that you love. There is no shame about just owning the fact that you're a night person. It's not just, I don't know, we have this thing that morning people are somehow better, more productive. It's so not true. I think it's really about knowing who you are and then using that to your advantage. I also learned from firsthand experience that it is not possible to work all hours of the day. There was a certain point when I was just getting really excited about this. I was working at like 6 a.m. all the way until 6 p.m. and after doing that for a couple of weeks, I felt like my brain was just going to blow up, and it was like constantly working. So rest is also really important. The key is to place rest when it matters most and to get your best work done when it matters most. A thing that helped me to really make sure that I'm maximizing how I use my time is to work in categories. So there's work categories like my job or my creative work. And then there's rest categories, like there's rest that's inspiring, and then there's rest that's just like do nothing and complete space and I'm not thinking about anything. And then there's workouts. There's like basic workouts, and then there's really intense workouts. So doing this has helped me to make sure that I'm not missing different areas of my life, that I'm still seeing friends, that I'm still having a whole life, and that my life doesn't revolve around work, but I'm still accomplishing all of the work that I want to. Big lesson number 3 is to use your money in the way that you most value. As a culture, we tend to just gravitate towards the way that the world says we should use our money. So if the world says we should buy a bigger house, that's what we do. If we should go on certain type of vacations, that's what we do. However, as someone who had traveled, I've experienced what it's like to live on very little, to be very intentional with my money, but to actually have this full, amazing, and fulfilling life. So this is about being a minimalist where it counts and then spending where it's going to matter the most to you. This has made a difference in how I give because I came to understand that actually giving money to certain causes or investing in other people is a way that I love to use my money. And using my money to invest in creating stuff like this is also a way that I love to use my money. However, spending money on hair or nails or clothes, not that there's anything wrong with those things, but that's not how I like to use my money. So in her book, Laura asks us what makes us happy when it comes to money. And she encourages us to write out the categories and to really understand where our money goes and to rate how happy it makes us. This gives us a really obvious indication. Sometimes, like, I don't know if you've ever done this, I've done this, where you go to a restaurant, you spend money on a meal, and you're like, actually, I probably would have been happier if I just invited you to my house and we ate. We didn't spend all this money on food, but we actually really got to be in an intimate environment and get to chat. So being clear on spending your money on ways that are fulfilling and that make you happy is really empowering, because it means that your money is now going to go further. Now, if you're not working right now, like if you're a student, for example, and you're like, well, that's great, and I don't really have much money, I still encourage you, don't look for excuses why you can't. Look for excuses how this principle works for you. So if all you've got is time, skills, and energy, that is still worth money. How can you use those in the ways that you most value? So when it comes to money, I also realized through Laura's books that small, frequent gestures have a greater impact on our happiness than big things. So for example, rather than trying to save thousands of dollars to go on this big round-the-world trip, what if you started with small chunks and started with weekend trips or short quarterly trips, and then when it really will make the most value, go on the longer trips? I've even realized that when I think through what I want to do in my summers. Do I want to go through for a big trip, or would I rather use some of that money and go on smaller trips throughout the year? So once you are clear on how your money is really going to help you fulfill your life purpose and bring value to your life, you feel so much richer. Big lesson number 4 is that planning your weekend gives you more of a weekend. Laura actually breaks down the hours. In our weekend, we have about 36 hours, let's say 16 hours on Saturday and Sunday, and then 4 hours on Friday evening. If someone were to give you a job that was 36 hours a week, you would think really carefully about whether or not you actually wanted to do it, if that was worth your time, and if it was valuable. However, a lot of us look at our weekends and it's just like this big blank open space and we just do whatever we want. But she says that when we actually plan things and we do them, we always remember it and we enjoy our weekends more. So this was game-changing for me, because I came to realize that one of the things that makes me feel really fulfilled is doing a little bit, at least a little bit, of creative production work. Whether it's writing, making videos, filming, or just spending time on YouTube getting inspired, or purposely going on a trip somewhere so that I can get inspired. I also have come to make sure that I always do something in my weekends that is rejuvenating. That it's not just about resting and doing nothing. It's also about doing something that is going to add energy to me. So usually on Saturday mornings, I do what I call my boundary pushing workout. This is when I really push myself and I'm really tired, so that Saturday evening, when I'm really chilling doing nothing, I'm quite satisfied because I've really worked for it. And this is something that I never used to do. I just do a basic workout on Saturdays. But there's a way that you can configure your time in your weekend so that you really pack in everything that you want. It doesn't mean that your weekend is packed, but it means that it's filled with the things that you want. So I also always make sure I have space in my weekends. So now when it's Wednesday or Thursday, and definitely by the very latest, Friday afternoon, I take time to sit and look over my weekend and I look at what I want to do. And the best thing is actually that I often plan some of my big weekends out weeks or even months in advance. So in September, I'm already looking at my entire fall and thinking of, okay, there's going to be leaves changing colors in Ontario and I want to go on road trips. So what do I need to do the other weekends so that I can have these other weekends free for road trips? And if I didn't do something like that, the leaves would just change and I'd probably just go to a nearby park. But now I've got a much bigger plan to do something that will be even more fun. And that just comes from actually planning my weekends and doing it consistently. Because ultimately, over a year, we have 52 weekends. And then there's 2 days in a weekend, so that's over 100 days of the year, which is several weeks of your life that you've got free. If your company were just to be like, here, you've got several weeks to take them off, we wouldn't just throw them away and just sit at home. We would think of something that's fruitful for us to do. So when we apply that kind of mentality to our weekends, we can enjoy and produce a lot more. Big lesson number 5 is that small, consistent actions add up. This lesson, compared with the first about the calendar and planning, have really helped me to have faith in the creative process, because now I know that if I do something daily, or at least if I do it weekly, I'm going to make progress. It's not going to happen as fast as when I used to do my creative work full time, but it's still going to happen. And every little bit that I do adds up. And the bonus is, if you can turn it into a habit, then it becomes easier and you don't even have to think about it. So if I write daily and I can make that happen, I don't even have to think about it. It just becomes a part of my life and I am a writer. Same thing with videos. The more I make making videos a habit, it just becomes a part of my life and it's not like work anymore. It's just something that is a part of who I am. So trusting that all of these small daily actions are going to add up has given me faith for the process, knowing that just by being a little bit more productive every day, by the end of a whole year, I'm going to have a whole volume of work created. So these are 5 of the biggest lessons I've learned on productivity and time management that have really helped me to produce more this year and have more time and have a more full life. Not just full of work, but full of friendship, rest, and creativity. If you've got other productivity or time management tips that you've found really helpful, I'd love to hear them. So feel free to comment below and let me know. And if you found this video helpful, feel free to like it or just leave me a comment. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to join me on my creative adventures, you can join me over on Instagram or on my blog at anitawingley.com. That's it for this one. I hope you guys found this one helpful. I'll see you in the next video.